Hey guys, welcome back to Human Condition. This video is another video in our philosophy series. This should be a pretty interesting one. It is, what does your energy say about you? Or what does your vibe say about you? So this is a pretty cool one about a new topic I just learned about, and it's called the map of consciousness. And it's basically more of a philosophical, not psychological, school of thought or thought process that suggests that everyone has a certain energy level ranking from very high up to very low energy levels, and the goal is to achieve in life the very highest energy level one could possibly achieve. I thought it was really interesting and kind of cool. So high energy levels correlate to good vibes, good feeling, chilling out with the broskies, the homies, your friends. Low vibes, like depressed, very sad, not very happy. And the goal in life, on the map consciousness, I might show it right here. If not, it's a little awkward, but it might show up here somewhere, if not. But if you want to look it up, it's called the map of consciousness, and there's a whole ton of different energy states that a person can reside in, going down from shame all the way up to enlightenment. And the goal is, I guess, technically supposed to be enlightenment, but for me personally, I think we should try to achieve not quite enlightenment, but the peace level, which is right under it, in my opinion. Could be wrong. But basically, each level starts from the very bottom, starts with too much focus on yourself. And that obviously is why it's shame, because in life, if you sort of focus too much on your own self, you always find things to critique about yourself, which is sad reality. Because that's just how life is. I feel like you focus too much on your own being, your own self. The ironic part is you focus more on life itself, you'll feel more content with being, whereas you focus too much on yourself, you'll feel less content with being. It's ironic. But the lower self level, shame, humiliation, anger, guilt, apathy, are all the lower levels. Then you got courage, which is the first tipping point to anything above courage is considered pretty good. Everything in the bottom half of the map of consciousness is like just trying to live, just trying to survive, trying to make it. But the goal is to get to the upper quarter, the very top, which is spreading goodness and deeply thinking about life. The middle part is just like not just trying to survive, but not thinking deeply about life. Is kind of just trying to. The middle part is helping society, but not thinking about the future of society, maybe, potentially. That's how I view it. Could be wrong about that. The high part is thinking about the future of society. Low part is just thinking about what's happening in day-to-day life. So it's kind of cool to think about. So you got the higher levels like reason. So if you think deeply about things and always understand things, you might be operating in a sense of reason. I'm hoping I'm at that level, but I don't know. Sometimes I do get held back by not achieving personal desires, which would suggest that I might actually be at a lower level than at the reason level, which is a shame. Because if you feel the higher levels you get, the less even desires you'll have, or goals. If you have goals, that suggests you're not naturally at the high levels, because at that point of life, if you're at the high level of energy, there is no goals. You just accept the way life is. Whereas lower levels, you have more goals, because it's like, I need to achieve this. Whereas higher levels is more at peace. You're like, I don't need anything. So, and there's different minor variations between each one, which I think is kind of cool. For example, courage and pride are right next to each other. I think most people operate in the energy of courage and pride. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's pretty cool one to operate in. They both work hand in hand. The cool thing, I think, because it fluctuates and we change energy based on scenarios. I'll talk about that in a second. But courage is whenever you do something you're afraid of, like trying to achieve a personal goal and just taking action. Pride is when we get defensive and hold back from achieving our goals. So this, and viewing the goal as stupid or not worth it, or the things that stand in the way of achieving a goal. That is where the pride part steps in. The courage part steps in taking an action. So I feel like these two on the map consciousness kind of go hand in hand. Courage, once you take the action, if you make a mistake, the true test of your character shows. That's the good way to put it. If you're operating on the courage level, once you make a mistake, a good view of someone's character shows if they get defensive or if they accept it. And that's the ultimate test to see if you're operating in a higher emotional energy state or a low emotional state. If you get prideful and you take a step back, you're like, no, or get mad and defensive, you might be operating in courage and pride, which is nothing wrong with that. Everyone does that at some point. And then, or if you are courageous and it doesn't turn out the way you're hoping, that you might act on, which is a more beneficial one, energy state of. Then the higher level of courage is neutrality, which I think it means once you take a courageous action in that energy level, if it doesn't turn out the way you're hoping for, it's accepting that as neutrality, like a genuinely, not like pride, I don't care, but more of like I genuinely accept the way this happened. And trust and its neutrality energy level is focused on trust and be like, okay, this might have not worked out now, but doesn't mean it won't work out later. Which will help you get to the higher level of willingness to fix the problem, and then in a healthy way, in a good way, and then slowly get up to the point of where you don't even desire much anymore. That's the ultimate goal, is to get to the point of, I think the top two is enlightenment and peace. The top people, when I was researching it, that potentially are very few people who reach the enlightenment energy level. It's like I think people said it when I was researching it was the people that reached enlightenment was Buddha, Jesus. A few people that reached the enlightenment stage, and that is just being and existing in a complete. And I think for me personally, I think the goal should be getting close to that, but not trying to get to that, because that's like, for me personally, I still respect the level of people, but I'm Christian, so I feel like the goal shouldn't be to reach that level, but to get close to that level. So instead of reaching the level with enlightenment, which where Buddha and Jesus reached, it's more better to get to not try to, because if you're kind of like, out of respect for those notable people, for me personally, Jesus, the second level of peace would be a good enough goal to reach. And that energy level is when you reach the ultimate goal, and this is my opinion of peace, when you have healthy emotional connections, or no emotional connections, healthy emotional connections and no emotional desires. Originally I thought it was no emotional connections, but if they're healthy emotional connections that inspire growth in life, then those are good, and no emotional desires anymore. When you reach the point where you don't have any goals because you just accept life as the way it's meant to be, that's the ultimate goal one can get. Because once you're at peace, desires are what kind of make you not at peace. So once you're at peace, anything happens, anything goes, you are more content in general. So yeah, I thought this is a pretty interesting one. This is the energy levels. I would go through all of them, but there's so many, and it's hard to remember, so I'm sorry I didn't go through each one. But basically, you can kind of see how each one right next to each other is correlated. Like pride and courage go really hand in hand. Neutrality, you're getting closer, and then neutrality, acceptance, willingness, you're slowly getting to a point where you don't even feel the desire to have goals. Your goals you once had feel not even important anymore, because you're so focused on the good of society once you get to the higher levels, and sometimes you'll even get to the point where you're in the high levels, but then you're like, I still want to achieve something, and then you'll go back to a lower level of energy at some point. But yeah, I was surprised most people sadly operate in the below the courage level in the sort of just trying to survive day-to-day life, which I guess kind of makes sense. I feel like sometimes I struggle with the lower levels, even though I want to be at the level of reason. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.